I'm back, fam. Um, Welcome, gems and gents and all you non-binary delights. Haha. Sorry I took a hiatus. It's been crazy in my life. I'm also taking the talk now. That's right. I'm on TikTok, so you can follow me there. Don't totally know what I'm doing. I'll be real with you guys. No idea. Um, but I'm trying. Haha. So whatever, it's fine. It's fine. What I'm realizing between YouTube and TikTok is like YouTube expects too much of me. They want like 20 or 30 minutes in order to get like the best algorithms. TikTok only wants a minute. Like most of the men in your life, solid 5 minutes, you guys. Like I have like 7 minutes. It'll be the best 7 minutes of your life. But, yeah. So I gotta find a way to incoherently babble for either 30 minutes or talk like a chipmunk and speed it up and blah, 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 in like 30 seconds. And middle ground. I need a middle ground. All right. It's a whole thing. So actual like topic for the video. I don't know why I'm doing finger guns. I should not be allowed to internet. This should not be a thing. Actual topic for like video today. Oh my goodness, it just flew out of my brain. Internally screaming out loud. Oh no, bad things are happening to me. Ugh, big oof. See, I'm hip with the cool kid lingo. I say things like oof. I also say things like lingo. Words are hard. Maybe I should delete this and try again. Nah, we're gonna keep rolling forward. Okay, so actual topic, like, I would love some feedback and like theories on this kind of stuff because there are some strange things happening in my life and I don't totally understand them. And like, I love like the spooky ooky, like, I love mysteries and horror films and things like that, but that's generally not like an explanation, if you know what I'm saying. So, things that are happening in my life right now, fam, I'm just gonna run you through some of the incidents, and maybe you can tell me if I need to call the police, or if I need to call a priest, or if I just got my crazy pants on up to here. Okay? So, like, first thing that happened that was like weird and like maybe slightly inexplicable. I don't know. Like, I'm sure there's got to be a logical explanation, and I'm just not seeing it because I'm in the thick of things. So, like, a few weeks back ish, all right, like, I was laying in bed. I just laid down, gotten all settled in, had my Netflix going because I hate sleeping in silence. I just, like, I pick up on all of the little, like, ambient noises, and I live in town, and my neighbors are loud. I don't like them. That's another topic for another day. They're just super disrespectful. So, anyways, I'm laying in bed, and I have 3 cats and 1 child, okay? So keep that in mind. But basically, I'm laying in bed, and I hear all of this, like, commotion downstairs. Like, it sounds like something's, like, banging on something. And so, like, naturally, I yell at the cats because my cats are domestic terrorists. And they're just constantly causing mayhem. So I did the whole stereotypical, and, like, my room's upstairs, and, like, downstairs is, like, the living area, kind of basic layout stuff. But I did this stereotypical, like, cat mom thing of, like, if you guys don't knock it off, I'm gonna come down there and make moccasins out of you. Yeah. That's what I always tell them. They know it's a lie. So, like, that all happened, and this went on for, like, 15 minutes of me, like, shouting at them. So finally, I did that thing where you, like, whip off the covers, and you're like, ugh. And I whip off the covers, and I hit the lights, and all 3 of the cats are on the couch upstairs, like, curled up, very obviously sleeping, like yawning, stretching, like, looking at me like, why are you waking me up, bitch? bitch, kind of thing. And I'm like, okay. So then my second thought is, oh my gosh, somebody is in my freaking house, man. Okay. So in stereotypical Texan fashion, because I'm originally from Texas, I like get my gun and I go downstairs, all right? And nobody is there, but my living room is like tastefully trashed in like the most polite sense possible, all right? Like the most polite sense possible. We're in the process of moving, so a lot of stuff is in boxes and they're piled up in the living area because that's just the most convenient place. And like the boxes are like tipped over, but it's almost like somebody picked them up and like gently set them on their side. Like none of the seams of the boxes are busted, none of the tape is torn open, none of the boxes are ripped open and gone through. My paperwork for like my work stuff is basically like scattered about, but again, it's almost like somebody picked it up and just like carefully placed it. So I was like, that's super bizarre. But I go through and I'm prior service, so I go through and I clear my house. I was combat military police for a hot minute and that sort of thing. So like I can clear a room. All right, you learn that stuff in basic. Okay, so I go through and I'm checking closets, storage closets, linen cupboards, anywhere that somebody can happen, just like a badass bitch. Oh, I don't know if I can say that. But anyways, so I do that. Nobody is in the house. My windows are still all locked from inside. My doors are still all locked from inside. So that was really bizarre. And I was super unnerved, but I just kind of like let it go. Cause like, what do you do? Like maybe the cats like had knocked a bunch of stuff over and like then came upstairs and like fallen asleep and it was just weird timing. My kid I did check on was also definitely asleep, like actual like legit snoring, not like the fake snores, because there is a difference, and as a parent you can tell. Okay. So and also that's not really in like my kid's nature. My kid is basically a crotchety 40-year-old man locked in a child's body. Like, okay, like he likes to yell at kids to not step on the grass and things like that. So that was really strange. And I just kind of let it go and I ignored it. So then flash forward a week-ish. Okay? Ish. All right, my timeline's a little weird because I've been so stressed out and like I haven't been journaling these things down with like date by date, okay? So weekish. All right, we don't have like laundry in the house that I rent. I have to go to the laundromat. So I load up all the laundry. The nanny is like here and I am parked behind the house because it's easier to load my laundry up that way, okay? So I go out and I load up my laundry and I get in my car and I click on the headlights and it's dark outside. So I click on the headlights and I just happen to look up and there are footprints on my roof. And I sat and I stared at them for like, I don't even know how long. It may have been 30 seconds. It may have been 7 minutes. It was a while-ish. And I say that just because like it was such a bizarre thing to see that I couldn't comprehend it. Like I stared and I went through that mental checklist of like, could they be animal prints? But like, even if they were animal prints, that's a big animal. And they definitely look like footprints and like, it was super bizarre. So I pulled out and I went and I started laundry and I came back and I come into the house and I go to the nanny and I'm like, I have a really strange question for you, my friend. And they kind of look at me like, okay. Because with me, that could be anything. And so I was just like, were you on the roof for some reason walking around? And of course, my nanny looked at me like I was on drugs. I was like, no, Ellie, you nut job. So that was super awkward. But then, like, my nanny comes outside with me and looks and confirms that not only are there definitely footprints on the roof, but they are definitely human footprints, and they definitely make zero sense. Like, there's not a good, like, traveling of a scent, you know, because there's snow, guys, okay? I feel like that's obvious. I don't know if I said that. Obviously, if it looks like there are footprints on my roof, there was something for them to have stepped in. So it's like there are like footprints on the roof in the snow, but there's no obvious like ascent path. Like we walked all around the house looking for like how did this person get up here? And our best guess, and this is only a solid maybe, is that they climbed on the back porch and then climbed up onto the roof. But that's just like a best guess. And like the step pattern is super bizarre because it looks like there was like somebody hit on the roof by the gutters, like on the chest area, pulled themselves up, and then walked up to the left. But the problem with that is there's only one shoe. Like it's just the left foot. And then it goes up over by my chimney. There's a very like clear ass print. And then it's like somebody stood up, walked along the A-line of the roof. All right. And then the tracks kind of pick up because snow has melted off the A-line a little bit. And they've picked up over on the right side of the house. It looks like somebody got down on their stomach, laid in the snow, then like pushed themselves up and then jumped onto the neighbor's roof. And there's a very clear shoe print on the neighbor's roof. Like all of this I could kind of chalk up and explain as like some sort of animal or some sort of weird thing if it wasn't for that very clear, distinct shoe print on the neighbor's roof. And then it gets even weirder if that's possible. It looks like they went from the neighbor's roof down to the ground and then there are no more prints. None. So, like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That was so bizarre. I would not have believed it if there weren't other, like, multiple eyewitnesses. Because we did talk to some other people about this, and there are some things that I can't talk about in that situation. But basically, it was confirmed, and there's potentially other stuff that's ongoing, if you know what I'm saying without saying, okay? But also, like, the other witnesses kind of, like, acted like my nanny and I were pulling some sort of prank, which is stupid, okay? Stupid. So that happens, okay? And the weirdness just sort of continues from there. And maybe some of that is because this whole footprints on the roof thing had me like so uncomfortable and kind of paranoid that I'm reading into things that are totally explainable, okay? Like, I'm not sitting here and saying this is 100% inexplicable. It's just bizarre. And I'm so in the thick of things at this point that I can't make it make sense. To the point where after the whole footprint incident, like my initial first thought was like somebody tried to break into my house or somebody's peeping in my window, because the only way to look into my bedroom window would be, because my bedroom's on the second floor, would be to be on the neighbor's roof. And then you have a direct line of sight. So my first thought was a break-in and or like a peeping Tom or a stalker or something like that. So I did kind of handle that in a logical-ish way. But I had to cancel a work event, and then I had a couple of work events after that that were just kind of awful because the stress of this situation is really starting to get to me and really starting to screw with me. And I have no idea like what's going on, okay? So that all kind of went down, and for like, I don't know, a couple days afterwards, like 3-ish days, I don't know, my timeline's so screwed up because I haven't been sleeping because I've been so paranoid, okay? Every time I would go out to smoke, because I'm a smoker, I know it's bad for you, blah, blah, blah. Feel free to read me a new one in the comments, whatever. We all have vices. But I would go outside to smoke on my back porch, and it was like this little voice in my head, and like my subconscious is such an a-hole, because there would be this little voice in my head that would literally say to me, don't look up, it doesn't like to be seen. I got zero reasons to do that to myself. Like, my inner psyche, my subconscious, whatever you want to say it, like, is mean. Mean. And so, like, I've been kind of living with that, like, weird hypervigilance or paranoia around this situation. So, that's been really messing with me, and that's part of the reason why my timeline is screwy, is because I am exhausted ever since the footprints on the roof thing. But then things continued. One, there was the weird internal thoughts, okay, of like, I would go out to smoke and I was like, don't look up, it doesn't want to be seen. Whatever the fuck that was. Whatever the fudge that was. But then every time I would walk through a closed door just in my house, not outside of my house, but just in my house, like if my bedroom door was shut and I would open it, there was again that weird internal voice that like was basically like, what are you going to do? He's standing right there. And again, zero reasons to do that to myself. I would come out of the bathroom, and as I touched the doorknob, it would be like, even now, like I'm feeling that uncomfortable, hypervigilant feeling, but it would be that feeling of like, I would grab the doorknob and it would be like, he's standing right there. What are you going to do? And then I would open the door, and of course there's nobody there, and I just am feeling nuts. Okay? Like super nuts. So literally the next day after the footprints thing, it snowed, which was wildly inconvenient because when I first discovered the footprints, it was at nighttime. And so the pictures that I have are super blurry and craptastic. So that's like super not helpful. And then it snowed. So we wake up early-ish because I have a child who goes to school. So I got up in the morning, I walked out, I smoked a cigarette, I came back in the house, I woke up my child. We started going through the process of getting ready for the day. Came back outside, went to start my car, there was no more snow on my car. And I know that there was snow on my car when I first went out to have my morning cigarette because I had that internal like groan of like, ugh, I don't want to have to wipe the snow off my car. And granted, it could have been the wind. I really hope it was the wind. So that was unnerving. Okay. So that all kind of, happened. So I took my kid to school like it was nothing. Obviously, and all of this, I don't want to stress out or panic my kid. So my child has basically no idea any of this is going on. So then the day after that, which would have been just this last weekend, so just a couple days ago, okay, so however that fits into my weird timeline of stress and paranoia and not sleeping. My son and I were watching a movie. We were watching Insidious, okay? He's really started to get into horror films and so on and so forth. So we were watching Insidious, and there's literally a part in the movie where the door swings open and there's something like, ugh, there, okay? I personally think it's a really stupid movie and super cheesy, so I was only sort of watching it with him. But the door swings open, and as it swings open in the movie, we hear this creaking sound. And my kid and I both look at each other and we're like, what? And he goes, Mom, what is that? And I was like, I think that's the back door, because our back door is super loud. And there was this awkward pause as we both kind of like sat there and we're like, what? And so I called out, I was like, hello? And nobody answered, so I tell him to stay where he is. Of course, he doesn't freaking listen. But I get up and I run out, and sure enough, the back door is wide open. One of the cats is trying to make a mad dash for freedom, okay? I scoop up the cat, I close the door, and I turn around, and, my kid's right there because he's followed me. And I tell him it was just the wind. Or maybe the door wasn't latched all the way. But that door swung all the way open very slowly. Like, that creak sound lasted for a solid 15 seconds, which for opening a door, that is extremely slow. So that was super bizarre and really unnerving. And I don't really know what's happening in my life. There have been a couple of other things where I've had weird nightmares. And there was like one incident probably 6-ish months ago where there was this random old woman in my backyard at like 1 o'clock in the morning. It was like 1:30 in the morning, and I'd gotten a drunk dial from my boyfriend, and he's wanting to like chat and tell me I'm pretty. And like, friends, get you somebody who drunk dials you just to tell you how much they love you. Don't get you somebody who gets wasted and you don't know where they are. But anyways, so I walk downstairs because I'm like semi-awake and he's blowing up my phone. And I'm standing in like the doorway between the like dining room and the living room, and I can see directly out my back door because it's windows, basically. It's like French doors style almost. And then I don't know, I'm sitting there talking to him, and then I realize I'm making eye contact with somebody. And it was this old woman just kicking it in my freaking backyard. And all of the lights were off in my house, so I don't know that she could see me, but I felt like we made eye contact. And then she walked backwards super uncomfortably and then turned around and kind of effed off down the alley. So that happened like 6-ish months ago, but like, I don't know that that's really related because, again, my neighbors are kind of awful people and they do drugs. So, like, I kind of chalk that one up to, like, somebody was on meth, okay? Or some sort of other something. But that's kind of what's going on in my life. And I don't really know how to deal with that. I don't know if I should be, like, pushing for some sort of police response, like there's some sort of stalker or something like that, or if I should be looking into like weird stuff. But that's part of the reason I've been so absent. It's part of the reason why, like, if you're dealing with me as far as work stuff goes, I just haven't been totally with it. Yeah, I have no idea. So I guess if you have theories, let me know. Because it's just really very bizarre. And maybe it is a bunch of unrelated instances where, like, there was a large animal on the roof, because there are mountain lions. I mean, granted, they don't typically come this far into town, but that would be a possibility. And they have big feeties. Like, the lady could have been a meth head. Like, the door thing could have, like, legit been the wind, or it just really wasn't latched correctly. I have no idea how to explain the living room thing. But I'm sure I could make something up. So, like, maybe it is all just logical, and, like, our minds as humans, we seek order. All right? We seek patterns, we seek order, and this is why a lot of times you'll have people connect things that aren't really connected. There's this whole scientific thing from, like, neuroscience theories of, like, neuroscience sort of theories where, like, basically your brain seeks to make patterns out of chaos, and so it will draw connections that aren't really there. So I kind of told you guys what's going on in my life. It's definitely messing with me. Can't really sleep. I'm super edgy about every little noise, and in a house with 3 cats, that's not a good thing to be. So any sort of theories that you guys have would be super magnificent. Because I just want to be able to sleep again. Like, I have not slept more than 2 hours in a night in 2-ish weeks. Ish. So, yeah, I mean, I guess let me know, fam, because I don't know what else to do other than, like, hey, internet, help me fix my problems. Because it's such a bizarre situation that, like, I feel like talking to, like, I can tell you this to be true, talking to any sort of law enforcement is basically like, haha, funny joke, and nothing happens. And talking to any sort of, like, medical professional would just get me locked in a psych ward. I have tattoos and I sell sex toys for a living, and I am not a Christian. I'm pretty sure I would catch fire if I stepped into a church. So, like, I don't know that I can actually reach out to a priest. I don't know how that works. So yeah, whatever guidance you have for me, internet friends, I am open to, because I am on the raggedy edge of having a breakdown from lack of sleep. So I guess if anything else happens, I'll let you guys know. This definitely is not going to be one of those things where I'm like, oh my goodness, something crazy happened and I'm putting up cameras around my house, because I feel like 90% of the time that stuff is super fake. Like, that's not going to be a thing. So, also, like, I walk around naked and I do weird stuff in my house, so I'm not putting up cameras for you guys. So yeah, that's where that's at. Let me know what you guys think is going on, and if anything else does happen, which I'm hoping it doesn't, and I'm guessing it won't. But if it does, I guess I'll let you guys know. So, chat soon. This has been a real sweet episode of Horror, Horrors, and Other Questionable Side Quests. I didn't really mean to bring the horror into my own house. Oof. Alright. Catch you on the flip side, YouTube.